kick off our meeting. This is the Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meeting, Tuesday, June 9th, starting here at 6:30 p.m. We'll begin with a roll call.
Here.
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 Here. Here.
All right, then we're going to move on to an open forum. This open forum is designated for any topics not currently on the agenda. Those currently on the agenda will have their own public input forum, so this is for new topics. And just to read kind of how this works, the Planning Commission invites residents to voice comments, concerns, anything during the public hearing or open forum agenda time. Individual remarks are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. We may use discretion if speakers are repeating views that are already expressed or ask for a spokesperson for the groups of individuals if you have similar views. If someone before you has already made your point, feel free to simply state your agreement, and no need to repeat the same comments. Speakers should state their name and home address at the podium before speaking. So we'll go ahead here and open forum. So if anyone in the audience would like to approach the podium, please state your name, address, and feel free to address. All right, lacking anyone approaching, we're going to move on to approval of the May 12th, 2026 Planning Commission Board of Adjustment meeting minutes. Do we have any adjustments or a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
Second. Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion has passed. Then we'll move on to public hearing, which is a conditional use application C26005 for White Birch Inc., located at 30375 Alpine Drive, Breezy Point, Minnesota 56472. This is parcel ID 1017-1090, also 1017-109, to host a retail cannabis license. This is under Mary Jane Consulting, LLC, in existing building marked as Zone C for commercial. So we are opening the public hearing, and we will start with the applicant presentation.
Good evening. My name is David Landecker. I live at 7374 Fairway Lane, Breezy Point, Minnesota, and here representing the applicant in the survey and land, the building situation and so on. That's ahead of you, and I'll let this young lady.
Good evening. My name is Kirsten Libby. I live at 13605 205th Street, Scandia, Minnesota, and I am the Mary Jane Consultant applicant piece of this.
So we're here today to with the conditional use permit to sort of change the uses of what's inside the building. So the building that's out there right now, the sales building for the resort, has been there for several decades and been used for real estate, timeshare, and other activities that revolve around those things in the resort. And the goal here tonight is to look at the interior part of the building and actually change it to allow for the cannabis dispensary and then office spaces that would be conjoined with it inside that building. So as you're aware, the building exists, and I'm not really sure of the permitting process that went on when that was done, but there's existing parking and bituminous in the building, etc. It shows up on a survey that was part of the application. And so if there's any questions as it relates to that specific part of the application, you can address those to me.
David, how many parking spots are there? 10? 8?
No, there's actually the amount of parking actually is there's 11 plus 3, so there's 14, and then there's an additional 9 in the back.
Okay.
So there's actually, if you look at the ordinance and the amount of parking that's required for the 4,400 square foot building, actually the amount of parking is suitable or fits those parking stalls. There's 23 parking stalls.
24.
And Yeah, and so that's what's there. Now, part of the parking, there's a little gravel strip that you're not quite sure if it's parking, but there's 3 parking stalls there, and it's up against the Alpine Drive, sort of in the middle off to the east side of the building. There's 9 in the back, and then there's the 11 up in front. One of them hangs over again into the right-of-way there as well. So the parking is ample. In fact, the parking in the back is hardly or rarely used except for employees. So the parking that's in front has been adequate for the use that's been there for quite a few years.
Does anyone have specific questions there, or should we kind of add on to that and circle back if needed? Would you like to go ahead and present your portion?
Sure. So as I stated, my name's Kirsten Libby, and I live in Scandia, Minnesota. And I work with by day I'm a lawyer, by day I'm a cannabis lawyer. And I'm working with a group of folks who are helping me put this license to use, my license to use. And that is Breezy Point Resort with the space. And then I also have a consultant who is here who will help with branding and staffing. And so they're here tonight. And then I also Nick, the construction guy, is here as well. And he's been working with the resort to do some renditions of what this might look like. So we envision a fully compliant cannabis retail shop, compliant with all Minnesota rules, Minnesota ordinances, and local ordinances. So I applied for my license a year ago, and it was awarded. And then the process is you work with the local government to secure space. And then once the space is secured, you work with them to get the construction in order and to put it into being. So, and then you submit your final plans of records to the state, and then you open for business.
So I do have some questions just for the general public that may have thoughts. What are the types of things that you take in effect for security, for things like that, of that nature, that are maybe in particular for this type of business?
A lot of things. And I'm going to introduce Bill Parker, my consultant, who can give you the really low-level details, high-level details.
Hello, my name is Bill Parker. I'm actually the president of Great White Companies, the consulting firm that's helping her out with this project. My address, 24165 Inwood Avenue North, Forest Lake, Minnesota. So in particular with security, security is probably one of the tightest things that we run in these facilities. Not only is it a state requirement, but we're protecting a lot of assets within these facilities. So when we build them out, almost a third of that total cost goes towards security assets. That's access control, surveillance systems, window breaks, motion sensors. Per the state, we have to have view of the entire area plus the perimeter. And with that, we have to maintain 90 days of security footage. So it's a very tight system that we impart in these dispensaries.
How much of that building will you occupy?
The whole thing. We have plans
whole
to
thing?
occupy the entire thing. So we'll make some spaces, we'll make some good use of the additional room for offices and meeting spaces and things of that nature. But for the dispensary itself, we're planning a very large retail floor that's very inviting. That'll be able to house a lot of products.
Anyone have questions?
Just for someone that knows absolutely nothing about what one of the insides of these stores looks like, could you describe what goes on and how you operate?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that we have some idea what your vision is or what you're looking for?
Absolutely. So I know there's a lot of stereotypes out there for dispensaries. A lot of what people, think of when they think dispensary is kind of that smoky little shop with a lot of glass and a lot of pieces in it. A lot of individuals kind of smoking and using paraphernalia around the shop. That's really far from the truth. With these centers, I already talked about the security that's in place. Because of the security that's in place, we see a reduction in crime around that location just because it's so highly secure. The inside of these facilities, we build out in a way that they're very inviting. They're beautiful locations. We've built out a few in the state today, and we've had them called, Apple stores, essentially, because it has kind of that clean aesthetic vibe to it. We do bring in a lot of the local vibe as well. One of our stores is in Cross Lake, and it's very much got that log cabin Northwoods feel, but we bring in a lot of the modern vibe as well to make it a little more approachable to all. When it comes to what's within these stores, the state does not allow any of the active product to sit out on the retail floor. So when you see these facilities, not only is there no active product on the retail floor, but you also can't see into these facilities. Per state guidance, we have to put a coating on the windows or have certain things in place so that you can't see directly to the retail floor. So when it comes to seeing paraphernalia or seeing products like that outside of the store, you can't. There's usually like a mirror finish on the exterior of those. When you enter, there's usually a vestibule. With this one, we're planning a full vestibule, which would house a security guard. That security guard will check IDs, verify people's identity before they can enter. Once they're allowed in, then they're met with a bud tender. That bud tender has an iPad. They walk through with them, see what they're trying to accomplish with their purchase, and they help them make that purchase on the iPad. That instantly gets booted to the point of sale, and then they wait for fulfillment to fulfill that order. The fulfillment happens in the vault space itself. We like to keep it very secure, so we build large vaults that are highly secure that staff can work in and do fulfillment. We usually build pass-through windows, which we plan for this location as well. So the staff that's in the back fulfilling that order places the stickers on the product itself, passes it through the window to the point of sale, the bud tender takes it, verifies ID, and then gives it to the customer. So it's a very regimented process where there's no way to really mess up orders. There's no way to, you really can't dispense the product without proper ID and verification.
And I believe I read too that there isn't people aren't using it on site, on property.
It's
There
not
isn't
allowed.
that type of.
It's not allowed on premise. Use is not allowed on premise. And we run a pretty tight ship. Our bud tenders and managers inform customers that there is no use on site. Usually when a customer first comes to us, we kind of walk them through the rules and regulations, the do's and don'ts, to make sure that they understand, because every state is different. Every customer has come from different markets. So we take a minute or two to educate them to make sure that they're well-versed in Minnesota law and what they're allowed to do here in the state.
Do you limit how many people are in the facility at a given time, or do you have kind of a guideline for that?
We usually go off of city guidance if there's an occupancy limit. To be honest, we have our own internal limits as well. Sometimes ours will be less than the city limit. It really depends on our security review. So once we get that floor done, we get the cameras in, we kind of determine how many people we can manage at any given time with staff on hand, and that's where that number's developed.
How many people staff it at one time?
Total staff for a store this size is probably going to be closer to 20. That's including FTEs and part-time. But at any given shift, you're probably talking about 3 to 6 employees, depending on the time of day and time of week.
Any other?
So it should really add any more employees than they already have in that building. Just more customers coming and going, I would assume.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to staff review.
Again, is conditional use application C 26005. The applicant is White Birch Inc. Property address is 30375 Alpine Drive. Legal description is Lot 21 through 23 and part of Lot 20 of the 27th addition to Breezy Point Estates. The property is Zone C, or commercial. Applicable city codes 153040, 153044, 153045, 153.007, and 116. Conditional use request. Applicant has submitted an application for a conditional use permit for retail cannabis sales in an existing building located at 30375 Alpine Drive. The parcel currently hosts a commercial building, 4,472 square feet, and hard surface parking areas, 24 spaces. Access to the property is from Alpine Drive off County Road 11. The building hosts the sales office for Breezy Point Real Estate and timeshares. Property is serviced by well and septic on site. Commercial office will continue in the easterly portion of the building with cannabis retail occupying the westerly portion of the building. When I did this report, that was the information that I had. I think you've heard different this evening, so I would refer to the owners as far as how that's going to be used. Upon review of a conditional use application, the commission needs to consider the findings as required in section 153.119. In review, the commission shall state whether or not the finding is acceptable towards granting the CUP, if applicable. Following findings must be made. The use or development is an appropriate conditional use in the land use zone. The property is zoned commercial and the request is appropriate under section 153.040. The use or development with condition conforms to the comprehensive land use plan. The use with condition is compatible with the existing neighborhood. The use with conditions will not be injurious to the public health, safety, welfare, decency, order, comfort, convenience, appearance, or prosperity of the city. There's also a list of other things that the commission may consider that I will not go through. Applicant has filed the appropriate application for the CUP, has paid the appropriate fee for the application. The public notice of conditional use hearing was published in a legal newspaper, and all property owners within 350 feet were given mailed notice of the said hearing. Public hearing is being held as we speak. Staff has reviewed the following: the site plan, the CUP application. Section 116.09, zoning and land use. Cannabis retail. Cannabis building licensed or endorsed for cannabis retail are permitted as a conditional use permit in the following zoning district: commercial. Cannabis retail is an appropriate conditional use in the C zone. The following may be appropriate conditions for approval of the CUP. Applicant shall obtain a building permit for exterior and interior remodel, cannabis retail license, all signage to comply with 153.061, all lighting to face onward, consolidate parcels 1017190 and 101.791, and I would add that we've also received today a certificate of compliance for the septic system, so that would be taken care of. With that, I open it up for public review.
Anyone have questions for Jerry before we move?
We can't put a time limit on this, can we?
Pardon?
This is a CUP, not an interim, so there's no, if it's approved.
The CUP would be approved, if you approve the CUP, it would be for White Birch Inc. to host the licensee, which I believe is Mary Jean, that one's, the specific, for the specific license. There would be no time constraint on it. It would be basically that they, as long as they're performing according to the ordinance, they would be allowed to continue. I think you would see a change in the CUP if in fact there was a transfer of the license from one licensee to another. You'd probably have to go through an amendment to the CUP in order to do that.
So if there's any issue, that's it.
The issue, if there's an issue, number one, it's probably a police issue as far as conforming to the rules and regulations as the state has them. If they're found to be not conforming to those issues, I think the council would have the right to pull the license.
Okay. That's all I got.
The CUP, the commission is dealing with the land use portion of this
Right,
only.
right.
The actual license and the approval of the license to operate in Breezy Point would become a council issue that would be on the council agenda at their next meeting.
Okay.
All right, well, we'll conclude the staff review, move on to the public input portion. If anyone in the audience would like to approach the podium, please state your name, address, and address.
Bill Toff, 31877 Green Scene Drive, Breezy Point, Minnesota. We've talked a lot about the mechanics of this. Let's talk a little bit about cannabis. In the 60s and 70s and 80s, the cannabis potency of THC was 2 to 4% in what was out in the public. Today, we all remember how people acted at that level. I remember people getting addicted, having to use it every day, and they kind of lose themselves for a while. Today, the level is 18 to 36%. So it's almost 18 times higher than it was back in the 60s and 70s and 80s. Gummies and other forms of usage is 70 to 80% of THC. According to HIDTA, that's the high-intensity drug trafficking area of north central Minnesota. Minnesota's potency of its cannabis is the highest in the country. What's the impact of this on the individual and the community? Bill Bennett, who was cabinet secretary under George W. Bush and was a drug czar, stated that, and it's true today, that there's more people in treatment for cannabis use than there is for all the other drugs combined, except alcohol. A friend of mine, who is a psychiatrist out of Chicago, read a study that of first-time users, of youthful kids, 12 to 18, there's a 10% chance that they're going to have a psychotic episode that will take decades for it to go away. In some cases, it never goes away. However, I mean, there's not a lot of public good in that. Supporters of cannabis will say, well, it's just like alcohol abuse, there's really no difference. They are wrong. According to a RAND Institute study, it's verified that cannabis is a gateway drug. And just about every case of drug abuse, that was the first drug that these people tried. The study goes on to state that minor usage has skyrocketed in states where it is legal. The impact on the community, according to a University of Colorado study, crime rates around the outlet spiked 1,425%. Crime rates where it's legal have spiked 36%. 82% of the users of cannabis are prone to exhibit more violent behavior. According to the National Institute of Health, cannabis results in more assault crimes and petty theft. In 2018 to 2022, according to HDITA, again, a study they did, related that total crashes in vehicles was up 20% in states where cannabis was legal. DWIs were down for alcohol, while DWIs for controlled substances and cannabis were up 37%. I don't see a lot of public good in that. I'm an old dog. I believe in God, I believe in family, I believe in this country, and I just don't, and I believe in free enterprise, I'm a capitalist. I just don't see why we need to have this in our community. And I just wish they could sell something else there, antiques, ice cream, t-shirts, anything else. I just would like to know, where is the public good in this? Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to approach the podium? All right, we will go ahead and close the public input portion, which closes the portion of the public hearing. We'll move on to the official action for CUP 26005. So just kind of recapping based on the criteria for a conditional use permit, which is detailed out in the packet. The following items, as Jerry had indicated, are things that we should be considering for an approval or denial of the CUP. Making sure the applicant has obtained the building permit for the exterior internal remodel, making sure that they do have the cannabis retail licensee, that all signage is to comply with our existing ordinance 153.061, making sure lighting faces onward, and consolidating those two parcels. And I would just also add in, the looking at the security and making sure that the measures for the building comply with the Minnesota state law and regulations as indicated by the applicants. Does anyone have other criteria or things that we want to take a look at and consider as a team?
Madam Chairman, I would move the approval of this conditional use permit to include the conditions outlined in the city planner's memo to us.
And do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion has approved. All right, we're moving on to public hearing conditional use application C26003 for Barry and Becky Mosebrucker of 1118 Old County Road 39, Breezy Point, Minnesota 56472. This is partial ID 100-0727 to construct an accessory structure of up to 1,600 square feet and 15 to 20 feet in height. This is a zone R2, medium density residential. So as we open up the public hearing, we invite the applicant to come to the podium, state your name, address, and walk us through the presentation and application.
Do I need to give my home address or just business address?
Who are you representing?
Okay. I'm Emily Olsted, representing West Hanson Builders at 34103 County Road 3, Cross Lake, Minnesota.
Barry Mossbrucker, I'm at 11180 Old County Road 39, Breezy.
Our client wants to construct a detached garage. I know we're looking for a conditional use permit because the footprint itself is 1465 square foot with a living space of 697, which is under the 700 requirement. But the issue was the height restriction. Halfway to the peak is 17 foot 9 3/4 inches, which is over the required 15 feet. So that's why we're wanting because he wants to put a storage workshop in the upper level, so.
Yeah, maybe I just say, so I have a two-car garage, I need more garage space.
Right.
And it's not an extravagant building, it's
Yeah,
two more cars in a workshop, and I think the height is associated with some storage on top.
it's because of the taller garage, so he can fit his boat or pontoon in there.
Does anyone have any preliminary questions at this moment?
It's probably stated in here somewhere, you got similar siding to the house, or?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's, we're trying to match my,
Yeah, the exterior will be matched completely to the house.
Okay, I guess
Yeah.
maybe I missed it in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's kind of fine print in the title page.
Is it?
It's
Okay.
very small when it gets to be this size.
With no plumbing, I see,
no plumbing.
at
No.
this time, or?
Not ever. There's no hookup to the septic or any kind of,
Okay.
it's purely storage and workshop.
It looks like a good building.
Yeah, it does look like a nice unit. And the setbacks, it's in the,
Did you have any more questions at this point?
no,
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll move on to staff review.
Conditional use application C 26006. The applicant is Barry and Becky Mosbrucker? Mosbrucker. The property address is 11180 Old County Road 39, Breezy Point. Legal description is long, and I won't even read it, but you do have a copy of the survey in your packet. The zoning is R2. The applicable city code is 153.032, medium density residential. Conditional use request is construct a detached accessory structure up to 16,000 square feet, 15 to 20 feet in height. The applicant has stated that the actual dimension is around 1,400 square feet, and the height is 17 feet 6 inches to the midpoint of the roof. Applicant has submitted an application for a conditional use permit to construct detached accessory structure. Property is zoned R2. The existing property is 1.95 acres. The parcel is on the south shore of Lake Osawatomie Key. Property currently hosts a dwelling with an attached garage. The lots are proposed to be consolidated. Findings. Upon review of the conditional use application, the commission needs to consider findings as required by section 153.119. In review, the commission should state whether or not the finding is applicable towards granting the CUP. The use or the development is an appropriate condition use in the land use zone. The property is zoned R2 and the request is inappropriate under section 153.044. The use or development with condition conforms to the comprehensive land use plan. The use with conditions is compatible with the existing neighborhood, and the use with conditions would not be injurious to the public health, safety, welfare, decency, order, comfort, convenience, appearance, or prosperity of the city. Applicant has filed the appropriate application, has paid the appropriate fee for the application. Public notice of the conditional use hearing is published in the legal newspaper and property owners within 350 feet were given mailed notice of said hearing. Public hearing is being held as we speak. Staff has reviewed the site plan, CUP application, building code compliance. 153.0332 C1, accessory structures cumulative up to 1,600 square feet on parcels less than 2 acres, an accessory structure height in excess of 15 to 20 feet in height, 153.032 C3. Accessory structures and appropriate conditional use in the R2 zone. Following may be appropriate conditions for approval of the CUP. Applicant shall obtain a building permit for principal and accessory structure. Applicant shall comply with all setback requirements. Siding and roofing of principal structure and accessory structure shall be of similar materials. All structures shall comply with state building code. Height of the accessory structure shall not exceed 20 feet, and the accessory structure shall not exceed 1,600 square feet. Any other that the council, or that the commission may or may choose.
But you had mentioned, Jerry, the lots are proposed to be consolidated? Are they
That's a typo.
Oh, okay. All right, sorry.
Anyone have any questions for Jerry?
No.
Okay. Then we will close the staff review portion. We'll move on to public input. If there's anyone in the audience that'd like to approach the podium, feel free to do so now. State your name and address. And pending the fact that I don't see anyone in there, we'll go ahead and close the public input and public hearing and move on to the official action for CUP 26006.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve C-26-006 with the 6 conditions stated. I don't see of any other issue that I.
Do we have a second?
Let's second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passed. All right, moving on to staff reports. Is there anything the staff would like to share?
Yeah, Ellie was going to be here, but she's had a death in the family, so she was, she had other things to take care of. That said, I'm probably going to be saying goodbye to you folks in a little bit. I don't know exactly when that's going to be, but I think you'll probably have a new person on board around mid-July.
We already did that once.
You'll be back.
That's the
Jerry's
plan,
changing his
that's the
phone
plan as
number.
we speak.
Well, thank you, Jerry. I mean, I know that we all feel the same way, where it's been just a joy working with you, and we appreciate that you came back to guide us and keep helping us along the path.
A lot of knowledge.
Yeah, and I can speak on that a little bit. I sat in on some of the interviews for our new planning and zoning administrator. We had a number of great applicants. So it was a tough pile to choose from, and I know Ally's trying to procure that, and therefore Jerry can set off into the retirement again. But we'll be glad to have him back as needed. At our last council meeting, we did discuss pay structures for our P&Z commission. And we did essentially ask Ally to bring back and forth in front of us for a raise. I believe that was going to be going up to $80 per meeting. I believe that pay structure would actually take an effect starting 2027.
Oh, come on now.
It's one of those things, right? Even for the council, anything that we adjust, I think it has to be in front of the ordinance and upon the election time.
Okay.
Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I know for sure council has to wait for an election time, if it goes through quicker, yay, but, otherwise 2027. So thank you for the commission for all that you do, and apologies on a delay in getting that, re-looked at for a number of years, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other reports? All right, any commissioner reports or comments?
Oh, I probably should rehash what I told the workshop before, but there will be a petition in front of you next month to consider rezoning a piece of property that food truck is currently located at. I suggest, and you will, in your packet, you will see quite a bit of information that's coming directly from the comprehensive plan. And take heed of that information, because that is the basis for how you make decisions of the zoning type.
I don't know if it's kind of a spot zoning.
It could be perceived that. It could be perceived that it isn't because there's commercial across the street. Depends upon how you look at it. I think that's where the comprehensive plan comes into effect, is what is that directing you towards?
Can you reside in a commercially zoned area?
Pardon?
Can you reside in a commercially zoned area?
Sure.
After you petition for it to be
Sure.
zoned commercial?
Sure. It's no different. The house becomes a legal non-conforming use,
Seems counterintuitive.
but can't take that away from them.
Yeah.
Just
we could.
because, yeah, you could. Just because you have a zone doesn't necessarily mean that's what the use is.
Yeah. 'cause
The
you do it
use
for
is
future
pre-existing.
stuff, too.
It doesn't cut it off.
Right.
I'm guessing there's several pieces on 11 that are kind of looking commercial too, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, the other thing is that one of the neighboring properties, you rezoned to residential a while back. The Lovejoy
Right,
parcel is
We
right down the
split
road
that.
from that.
yeah.
Okay.
But just heads up, that's gonna be in front of you.
Thank you. All right, meeting adjourned.
All right.